Well, folks, you may remember back in the day we had the comic books, you know, the Richie Rich and the G.I. Joe and whatnot. And we read the comic books. In those days, there was the ads in the comic books. And you may remember some of the ads trying to get you to do things like sell Grit magazine and all this. And you may also remember ads for something called Sea Monkeys, which you may also recall was depicted as looking something like this. These horrifying tricorned anthropomorphic things which you were supposed to send away for only $1.25. I would not want these horrifying naked tricorn things. This one's got hair like Sally from the Peanuts. I wouldn't want them in my house, let alone in my fish tank.
Food,
they run around without clothes on and scare the dickens out of everybody.
The mailman wouldn't come to my house.
In actuality, the sea monkeys were, brine shrimp, small filter-feeding crustaceans of the genus Artemia. If we can get a look at these. These are, in actuality, what sea monkeys look like. Popularly, they are known as brine shrimp, although not necessarily accurately. But they are, however, of the order Crustacea. Okay? So at least you don't get those horrifying tricorn sea devils and whatnot.
Taking over your house, eating all your food.
Okay? Recently, folks, I was given some of these sea monkeys, or a sea monkey kit as a gift. And it said on the package, create instant life. And I thought about that and I said, do I really want that kind of responsibility? I mean, can everybody be just loosely trusted with a responsibility like that? You know, if I want to create instant life, I would tell my wife, well, that's beside the point. I thought about it, and yet I went ahead and I created instant life of the sea monkeys anyway. And as I watched them grow, and as I watched them swim around in their little tank, and as I read more about the sea monkeys, or I should say the Artemia, I started to feel for them. I said, gee, they can reproduce asexually, so they'll never be bothered with any of those horrendous complaints like love, like people have. I started to wonder if they didn't really have a more ideal life than us. And so to make up for my Promethean behavior in creating this instant life in the first place, I decided that I would do an experiment with them and see if I could organize my Artemia, my brine shrimp, sea monkeys, whatever you will, into an ideal society, an ideal state, not unlike Plato's republic. I, of course, called this state Oceana. As you can see, I've gone a little crazy with the label maker here. Oceana. It's kind of like the Commonwealth of Oceana, which you may remember by James Harrington, 1656, Commonwealth of Oceana. This Oceana is kind of like that Oceana, except in this Oceana we don't send all the Jews to live on a separate island, but that's not really an issue that ever came up in this Oceana anyway, because we all know that shrimp ain't kosher in the first place.
They live in a separate small tank. As you were saying.
Don't disparage my Oceana like this. I got to have people calling in now, besides Scott Hall. In any event, so my brine shrimp who live in their own little republic, Oceana, which I tried to set up, actually not unlike Plato's republic. And just like in Plato's republic, I separated them into different classes. They were separated in different classes by occupation, be they farmers, tradesmen, and whatnot. But they really weren't very good at any of the occupations except swimming around and eating bacteria. So that's what actually that's the occupation that most of them have. That and some of them are firefighters. And as you can see, they do a really good job, the firefighters, because there's no fires in this little tank. And of course, those who are more philosophically inclined and had greater perception of forms in the Platonic sense, of course, became the philosopher class in Oceana amongst my brine shrimp here. And of course, the philosopher class are the guardians of the state, who take orders only from their philosopher king, who was, of course, me. So I was the emperor of Oceana as well as the emperor of Rome, and it was like I was kind of the god emperor, but that kind of started to get like that thing in Dune. So, yeah, you see that didn't
kind of like Sting.
Yeah, kind of like no, Sting didn't play.
All right, as you were saying.
Yeah, but anyway, well, as you may expect, folk, I did this experiment as a metaphor for mankind, but nature spoke, and the sea monkeys, the brine shrimp, they taught me. they rejected they rejected my god emperorship, which was right of them to do because I'm only a mortal man. They rejected it. And in fact, they rejected their organization into society and into classes, and they did nothing except live as shrimp, or I should say as, automaya.
Revolt of the sea monkeys.
Yeah, they did nothing. In fact, instead of living in an ideal state, they instead aspired to live the ideal life, the ideal form of brine shrimphood, automaya. So in the end, folks, the sea monkeys, the brine shrimp taught me, because their whole purpose is just to live for the ideal, the form of being a shrimp. So maybe ours is to live for the form of being men.
No, that's a good point, but what is the form of being men?
The form of mankind? I don't know. Look how they mock us.
I think you get a 3-alarm fire in there, Joe.
Well, they'll be on that one.
Thank you, Joe.
It's like Rescue. You remember that show? It's one of those.
One of the characters looked kind of like you,
Yeah,
actually.
I know, yeah.
And
That's
one
what
of
I
them
liked
looked a
with
big, giant anthropomorphic sea monkey man, as I recall. Now,
it. You want the 3 corn?
yeah, with a 3-corn head.
Yeah.